This is the first episode of a 3-part series dedicated to personal stories of sobriety and ways to navigate a sober life while in the commercial fishing industry. If you're in need of immediate help, call the National Helpline for confidential, free support from public health agencies that will help you find substance use and treatment information. Reach them online or by calling 1-800-662-4357. Side note, I just re-listened to this episode and I was cringing. I cried a little. I'm not going to lie. And I was thinking of ways that I needed to edit it or make it seem more cohesive or anything like that. But I thought, in the spirit of support groups around the world, I'm going to just leave it as it is. So this is a one-time shot of my sober story. There's so many other stories I could add to it, but I'm just going to throw it out there and in hopes that it helps others and know that everybody has felt all kinds of feelings all the time, and that does not make you weird or unusual, or you're not alone. I'll say that probably 700 times in this episode because I can't get that point across enough. So please reach out for any community support that you'd like through locally, or also the Partners of Commercial Fishermen. We are always here for you in our private forum for the POCF private members. So you can find more at POCFpride.com. And I hope you enjoy this episode. Cheers to a very dry and happy December, or dry-ish, however you want. But cheers to the holidays. And, this is a time that can be difficult for some. And believe me, other people are feeling it too. And here are some fun ways that you can get through it and still feel like yourself and starting a new chapter for 2024 and your new life, So, okay, I'm actually going to end it now so you can enjoy the episode. Much love always. Hope you enjoy. I'm Megan Waltrip, host of the Partners of Commercial Fishermen podcast, an extension of an online community created for partners to connect worldwide, find helpful resources, and share stories to feel less alone in this incredibly unique and adventurous way of life. The POCF podcast invites fishermen, family, friends, supporters, or those curious to know more about the commercial fishing community to join conversations as we learn from each other, laugh, sometimes cry, and relate with those who are the faces behind each catch. What do you say? Let's dive in. Hey POCFs, we're getting super personal today as I share my story with alcohol and how I have eliminated it from my life. And for the context of this conversation and any going forward, the word sober means that you are not affected by alcohol, that you're not drunk. So that's what we're focusing on here. So I hope that this gives you some insight if you're sober curious or looking to quit alcohol. Again, I'm not a professional. I'm just sharing my story and how I got to where I am today. Okay. Mom, if you're listening, I'm sorry if this is hard to hear, but here we go. My early days of drinking. So I was a good girl. I was a good girl in high school and typical, wild child in college. I went to a Southern university. I went to the University of South Carolina, and I went to the University of Georgia, which means college football is a religion. So is tailgating, which means day drinking is also a huge skill that we procure in our time at those schools, or I think most schools, but college football, that whole vibe, that was my vibe. Also, the jam band scene. I love Widespread Panic to this day, but that kind of lifestyle obviously leads to lots of celebrations, if you will. And that carried long after it should have. Just to, save time here, I know every alcoholic has the same type of story. And mine ended with several rock bottoms. So I'm just going to share a couple with you. There was one in particular was a night when I drank 2 bottles of red wine, and then, which was, I felt totally fine at the time. And then I woke up with a friggin' massive hangover that still makes me sick thinking about it, where I proceeded to vomit. and also was choking down some kind of dark beer from Trader Joe's. I don't even know what it was, but I was trying to offset it, the hair of the dog. It was just this constant cycle of like trying to get the poison out and then putting that poison back in my body rejecting it. I mean, there were times that I would put whiskey in my coffee on any kind of given weekday just to also feel better about myself. I drink alone constantly, counting down happy hours or when is it appropriate to drink, that whole trying to navigate that whole thing. Oh man, did I go to this liquor store and get this much beer or this grocery store and get this, and are people going to notice? And it was that effing web. It was terrible. Let's see. There was a time this was awful. This was a time I blacked out. I was out with my mom and my friends. Apparently I blacked out and went off on somebody. I'm not somebody who goes off, but apparently I am, deep down when that alcohol gets mixed with my demons that I wasn't facing. My mom, I went off that. I guess I got escorted back to the hotel my mom was staying, where she asked my friend if I had taken Xanax or if I was on pills because she had never seen me like that. I remember waking up the next day. I was on the couch of her hotel room, and I knew something bad happened. And y'all, if you know that feeling, it is, I mean, what is that feeling? It's like a whole sinking down where you cannot feel any lower than you do. Just that, it's like reverse anxiety. It's like the weight, a different type of anxiety. It's heavy. God, yeah, it was awful. I knew something happened. I had already planned on moving to California because I needed to get the F out of Charleston, South Carolina, which I love Charleston. It's one of my hometown forever places. But at that time, I was partying my butt off. I was a fashion designer at a time, had a small business, did small local production. And that was my creative spiral was just drinking and depressed. It was awful. I was not fulfilled in my creative life and my life as a whole. And the drinking got so out of control that I couldn't even picture not drinking. And this is embarrassing, and I'm shamed to admit, and this sounds super privileged and gross, but at one point I remember thinking, oh, well, I think I was around 30 years old. And I remember thinking, oh, well, I'll just spiral until I go to rehab at 34. And then that's when I'll face my shit. Okay, yeah, that sounds ridiculous. I understand how insane that sounds, but that was my way of saying, I don't know why 34. I don't know why rehab, and like, what? It's just so selfish, and also so helpless. I couldn't even think about how selfish I was because I felt so friggin' helpless. It was terrible. I woke up from that day, from that blackout, and I texted my dad. I said, I need help. And he said, okay, well, and I said, but I'm still going to California. And he texted me and said, well, just go to California sober. And I'm getting all choked up thinking about it, but it really meant so much to me that my parents still believed in me enough in that instant to know that I could still be the Megan I wanted to be. I just had to do it sober. And man, that took a long time. I did go to California sober. That wasn't the last time I drank, though. Once I got to California, I was there. I didn't drink for the first, 3 months I was there. And then I had friends visit, and I just had a glass of wine, and, it progressed to a lot more at dinner. And then when I ended up moving to Santa Barbara, I went to Carpinteria, California. That's near Santa Barbara. I still party. I guess there were some big rock bottoms there. I wasn't telling people off, but I was just being an idiot and like not good. I was editor at a paper at the time, writer for a local paper. And that is not the way to, that is not a reputation you want. So eventually it was a night after 2 glasses of wine. It wasn't even some story like I just told you. which there are plenty more. But I had 2 glasses of wine. I woke up with a mild hangover and I was like, I'm done with this. I am so effing done with being hungover, navigating my life around alcohol, that I don't ever want to think about this BS ever again. I mean, I was done. So to misquote Jay-Z, I got 99 problems, but that bitch ain't one. I'm not doing that anymore. So that was, and I still look back to this day and think, God, I mean, thank God I don't drink anymore. I can't imagine where I'd be. Chris has not drank in many more years than I have. He was definitely an inspiration for me to quit drinking, because I saw how this incredible human being was able to still have fun in his life and go out and meet friends and go to concerts and not feel that, oh my God, I can't be around alcohol. He was so secure with his life in his own way that it didn't even affect him. And I wanted that. I didn't want to be a person that couldn't be around it or shamed other people for drinking or anything like that. I wanted to be like Chris. I wanted to just carry on with my life and just not have to deal with that biatch anymore, So he was definitely a huge inspiration for me. So I definitely want to shout out my love of my life and my husband, Chris Dabney, for doing that. And I tell him that all the time too. So yeah, he was huge, but also with the whole drink, I mean, it was just a long time coming. It is it is very helpful to have a person who doesn't drink as well. We definitely look at each other from time to time and go, God, can you imagine if we still drank, how we would have handled this situation, whether it was with our relationship, with the business, moving, travel, I mean, whatever, Thank God that is the one thing. I'm like, Chris, we might be going through certain things at certain times and things might be hard, or we might feel challenged by things that are going on in our life and our personal lives, creatively or career-wise or blah, blah, blah. But I think just remember that we quit drinking. How effing amazing is that? And if we can do it, you definitely can. I definitely know that you can. And I say that because I thought I couldn't imagine a life without drinking. At one point, I thought I was going to drink across the United States as I drove to California. I am ashamed to admit, but I'm sharing it with you because we're family. So, as I said, I am not a model for this. I'm just sharing my story of my sober journey from alcohol. And this is some advice that I give friends and family who have asked me about my journey and what what might be helpful for them. So I'm going to give you some tips. So my first one is to find community. So it's either to reach out to someone who doesn't drink, or go to recovery groups like AA, other ones that have different names. You can research and see locally if they're there. If you're a little apprehensive about going to a group like that, I totally understand. I've been to those groups. I've felt those feelings about feeling apprehensive. I will say that it is so helpful to go somewhere to not only hear people's stories and to know that you're not alone, but to learn the tools that they use to stay sober and to stay away. If it's helpful, you could also go to a recovery or AA group outside of your town, at a different town. If you're for example, if you're going to go visit friends or family, or you have a work trip or blah, 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 or maybe there's just a town really close that you can get to, check out their AA or recovery groups. That'll make you feel even less, it'll make you feel more anonymous. How about that? Which I guess is the whole point, right? Also, there's so much inspiration in hearing other people's stories. And for that, I don't go to AA every day. I don't go to AA. I've gone to probably 3 AA meetings and 1 NA meeting, Narcotics Anonymous meeting, for those exact reasons. I wanted to see who else was suffering from addiction, and I also wanted to learn the tools that they use. So both of those are very similar, but I recommend checking them out if you're interested in either. Both are very helpful. Another thing that I love, I'm a writer, I'm a voracious reader as well. I freaking love memoirs on addiction. Any memoir on addiction I could get my hands on, I got on Amazon, borrowed from the library, bought from the local bookstore. I have a huge collection of memoirs. And it's because I also am trying to figure out how to write about my own journey. And it was funny, I had a friend who is in AA come into my room in California whenever Chris and I both lived there, and noticed my huge collection of these memoirs. And they said, oh, this is like your AA. This is your community. You're reading these people's stories. And I'm thinking, oh, that is totally what I was doing. I didn't even realize it. But there are many memoirs about addiction that I would highly recommend, and I can leave those in the show notes for you. Okay, the other thing is, I'm sure you're wondering, what the hell am I going to do with all this time now that I'm not, drinking and wasting my time with people that may or may not be interesting with or without alcohol? My biggest advice is to deep dive into self-care. And it might feel super foreign considering that, abusing a substance is not a form of self-care. But, ideas that might be helpful are baths or meditative showers, as my therapist calls them. She calls them meditative showers. You go into the shower, you think about the issue that is coming to your mind, and you let it wash down the drain. And by the time you're out of the shower, that issue is all the way to Japan. It's a visualization method, if you will. But man, I love a bath. And I'm talking, put your Epsom salts, get the candles going, like pamper yourself on any day, a Tuesday, who cares? Go on walks or hikes, beautiful long walks or hikes with friends, by yourself, or with your dog. Read all those books that you've always wanted to, and also those addiction memoirs, if they sound interesting to you. When I had a goal to read, I would set aside time to read, or I would say, I'm going to read this many pages a day to get through certain books. And that was really helpful. If reading feels intimidating to you, because I definitely understand how that can feel that way sometimes, dive into your hobbies, whatever that happens to be. Are you building something? Are you a furniture flipper? Are you a gardener? Are you a writer? Are you into design, painting, arts, whatever? Dive deep into that. Find groups that do that, actually. You can find meetup groups. Now that I think about it, you can Google meetups close to home. I'm sure there's a resource on Facebook that you can Google people that are, that like to nerd out on the things you like to nerd out on. The cool kids, you know what I mean? The cool kids who get to nerd out together. That's so fun. Develop your interests and further develop your career. One of the biggest, probably the number one piece of advice I give to partners of commercial fishermen in general is to harness your independence and do what makes you feel like you. For me, that's writing. For me, that's building this amazing community that I feel so honored and privileged to be a part of. Dive into those things that really help yourself grow, career-wise. If you're feeling stagnant in your career, maybe you're looking for a change, or you're wanting to figure out how to level up. There's so many amazing masterminds out there, so many amazing business coaches that specialize in different techniques that can help you amp your biz up. And I can even do a whole episode on that too. So Google and see what's up, see what's helpful for you. You can also look for them on social media and Instagram. And also, just give yourself breathing room. You don't have to change your life tomorrow. It's going to take time. It's going to take practice. As they say, sobriety is not a straight path. You're not a failure any step of the way. You're brave to even, if you're brave to even identify it within your heart and listen to this podcast, even to this point, and you're not alone. Whatever you're struggling with, you're not alone. I definitely want you to know that. Something that I've found super helpful is finding, a new ritual. For me, spiritual practice is so important. Also, if you're religious, you could dive into that. Or if you're not spiritual or religious, find a special practice that gives you space to honor yourself and, cultivate that strength and give that love back to yourself, because that's what's going to help you through all of this. And also, I know this is going to sound, I hope this may sound a certain way, but that kind of practice and that connection that you have spiritually, religiously, or just your special ritual is a way for you to tune in and realize that you're being called to move into a higher purpose by practicing your sobriety. The reason that you're trying to get out of sobriety, or getting into sobriety, and out of drinking alcohol, is because you have better shit to do. You have other plans going on. There is stuff that you are put on this planet to do that alcohol is in your way. It is literally drowning your creative love and your thoughts and ideas. I know, I've been there. You're not alone. You're really, really not. There's bigger plans in the world for you to make an impact on your family. There's, in the best way possible, it isn't about you. The alcohol makes it about you because you're constantly figuring out how the F to get it, or ways to avoid it affecting your life, but maybe it's not working anymore. If I try it this way, or if I only drink this, or if I only do this, and then, it's the same result. It sucks, man. Like, I definitely understand. But, the reason that you're even thinking about this is because you have so much more to offer. That. I want you to also know, and this is the other thing, I've spoken with a lot of people who quit drinking. It feels that it's a lot more popular than it used to be, which is amazing. There's also a plethora of non-alcoholic beverages on the market. With that said, sobriety, there are triggers for certain people. Certain things are not for others. But I'm going to share with you what I like now. It's been about 8 years since I've drank. It's been 8 years in January. So this is where I am today after 8 years. Some people may be like this after a day, or some people never, get to the point of having this kind of comfort, but that's okay. And it might not even be a big deal to some. But this has been helpful too. I still love the whole celebration and the revelry of, drinking, being with friends, having that amazing wine glass or champagne glass and feeling special. So guess what? I still do that. I still ask for a wine glass or a champagne glass to have my special cocktail delivered, which usually is sparkling water with lemon if there's nothing fancy. Sometimes I add a little pineapple juice to make it fancy. Put some lime in there, like make your own little thing that when you go to a restaurant or you're out with friends, that you have your own special drink. I also love kombucha. I do that very, very frequently. And I've just gotten into non-alcoholic beverages. There is every alcohol beverage that there is a non-alcoholic version of that. There's non-alcoholic tequila, or I know, right? Whiskey. The red wine is amazing. There's white wine, champagne, all of it. And the thing about the wine, and it is not grape juice. I know what you're thinking. I have had the wine that tastes like grape juice. There's non-alcoholic wine out there that has gone through the entire process of wine making and then has been de-alcoholized. So it really, really tastes like red wine. And man, I really enjoy that. And that makes me feel really special when I'm with my mom and my sister and we're having dinner and I get to toast with the ladies. There's going to be a whole entire episode with an amazing person, Jessa De La... Wait, do I have her name correctly? I'm not even going to say it. I don't even want to ruin it. I have an amazing episode coming up that's going to be all about the non-alcoholic beverages and the varieties that you can get. I mean, there's even beverages out there that are neurotropic, adaptogenic, and we're going to learn what that means. Basically, good for you stuff. Good stuff. But yeah, I just want you to know that thank you for so much for listening. And I don't want you to feel embarrassed about this because it's addiction, as they say, is a disease. So know that this is not something that it does not define your personality. It's just kind of taking over right now. It is like all up in your biz when it shouldn't be. But you're not alone. No one's judging you in the sense of what you want to do next. But you know what you want to do next. And there are resources out there that can help you. And I am here to help you. And if you want further support or if you're looking for community, I suggest going to Google, look for that local community that can help you with recovery or AA programs, just to kind of give you an idea of where to start. I would definitely try there. And if there's anything that I can do to help you provide, my team, you can find us at support@POCFpride.com. I'm going to put a bunch of resources in the show notes, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of this series that we're doing all about non-alcoholic beverages and sobriety and what that looks like for people in the commercial fishing industry. So thank you so much for your time, and I cannot wait to connect with you again. Till next time, you are not alone.
Thank you so much for being here. Your downloads, your reviews mean more than you know, because that's how we know that you are enjoying the podcast. And if you'd like to further support the community, you can tap the subscribe button, share with family and friends, post on socials, or write a review. But you know what? As long as you're getting value, that is all that matters. But if you go that extra step, we truly, truly appreciate it. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you're a partner of a commercial fisherman looking for more resources on how to navigate this unique lifestyle, from long distance dating to communication to finances to motherhood advice to mental health, safety, you know, all the things. We're building more resources on succession planning and retirement. It's going to be amazing. There's even an option to join the private forum as well if you jump onto POCFpride.com to learn more. We are there for you. We got all of the community and all of the resources you need, and they are continuing to grow as we learn what you need the most. We can't wait to connect with you, and thank you so much again for being here.
I need to take a minute to shout out our private forum. It is just getting better and better every day, and I want to take a moment to tell you about how incredible it is. So our private forum is a VIP members-only community with POCFs. It's for you to connect with other partners of commercial fishermen around the world whenever you want, need, or seek support. And the bonuses are that this is the only way that you get access to monthly Zoom calls to connect with other members on topics that are important to you, private podcast series where I publish behind closed doors conversations from guests that you've heard on this podcast. And let me tell you, that's when the tea is spilled. That is the good stuff. It's where they feel comfortable to speak to other POCFs because they are as well. And it's just real nice. Easy to navigate topics so you can join or start conversations with other POCFs as you please. There's no searching and figuring out what people have been talking about. Everything is beautifully categorized. So you can jump in to getting married to a fisherman, mom advice, the list goes on and on. This is also the place that you can ask questions or vent with love without judgment. We know you love your fishermen. We also know that it can be tough sometimes with this lifestyle. You can talk to us and we'll never judge you. This is your safe space. This is also this is the place that you have the ability to ask me questions, seek advice, or get feedback. And this is the only way to currently reach me directly. I'm so excited and proud and I'm amazed about how this community has grown. And this is the best way for us all to commune. It's just social medias and emails are kind of getting out of control. And I would love to have our personal connection in this forum. So this is where you can reach me. There's also private resources from money management to mental health, you name it. It's going to be ongoing, added, juicy memory bank of resources constantly for forum members. There's also quarterly virtual events with trusted professionals that focus on the lifestyle challenges that we have and how to overcome them. And you also get first access to annual in-person events and to hang out with your fish sisters in real life, y'all. So if you want to check it out, you can go to meganwaldrop.com/private-forum, and there is the beautiful landing page for you to learn all about these goodies and how to become a member too. We really, really cannot wait to meet you. And if you have any questions, you can email me and my team at support@meganwaldrop.com. I got you.
Thanks for listening today. Being here means you're a part of the POCF family, and we wouldn't be a community without you. I'm Megan, and this is the Partners of Commercial Fishermen podcast. As always, much love, POCF pride, and remember, you are not alone.